Simin, is this the compromise that maybe the Turks were looking for to find a way out of this difficult situation? Pastor Brunson has been convicted of the offences for which he was charged, including participating in some way in the 2016 coup attempt. But he's able to go because of the time already served. Just walk me through the kind of compromise that I think they've come up with.
Well, as you said, this is a compromise. It's a welcome development for both countries. Turkey has got what it's wanted, and now the US has what it has wanted. Of course, Washington has said that if he's not released, they will impose further sanctions on Turkey. Back in August, President Trump was furious that he still hadn't been released and had doubled steel tariffs on Turkey and also slapped sanctions on 2 Turkish officials and warned that more would be to come. Of course, this would be a very bad development for Turkey, as it's already struggling with an economy that's overheating. So welcome for both countries, I'd say.
Yes, and the President Trump actually tweeting out, working very hard on Pastor Brunson. This was just after the announcement, in fact. And we should point out that while the lira may not be moving, the Turkish stock exchange is seeing a lot of action, with the main index higher by 1.25% and bonds doing much, much better. Perhaps this is a sign that there is more hope now for an economy that may not see another round of sanctions. So, Simin, what happens next? Because Turkey has also gotten involved in the Saudi Arabia story of the disappearing journalist who may or may not be alive.
Well, yeah, he's feared dead, but again, there's question marks about whether he's alive or not. What happens next is the US and Turkey, there's reports that they'll be working together to try and come to a conclusion in this case. Of course, the US very unhappy about developments, as is Turkey and some countries in Europe as well. So they'll be working together to see what can happen and if they can actually come to a conclusion about whether he's still alive.
Simin, Vonnie brings up one of the issues that currently is surrounding Turkey at the moment. The other one is the pastor. There are other issues as well, though. I come back to this story about the fact that we haven't seen much of a bounce in the Turkish lira. A lot of people I know in London are quite surprised by this. Is the market kind of refocusing on what else there is still out there?
Well, it's been priced in. Over this past week, the lira has been strengthening against the dollar. It's up around 4% so far this week because there was a lot of speculation that the pastor was going to be released. So it is priced in, and that's why we haven't seen that much movement in the lira today.
Yeah, and as I say, we did see a massive reaction in Turkey's bonds, for example, and I think the outlook for inflation and for what the central bank would have to do were there to be another round of sanctions, and also the idea that Erdogan has been getting involved in central banking has been very concerning to the market. So, Simin, does Erdogan relax now? Will the economy sort of get itself back into some kind of order?
Just a few days ago, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan came out and said that no matter what the decision is, it's a decision to be made by the Turkish court and everyone has to respect it. So it's obvious that he is going to be very happy with this decision himself and respecting it. And of course, there are problems with the Turkish economy. It's overheating. Inflation is at a 15-year high, 5 times the target rate of the central bank. Of course, next week on October 25th, the central bank has another rate decision. President Erdogan hates high rates and he's been pressuring the central bank to stop raising rates further. So it'll be wait and see mode for them as well. Now, this could be a welcome situation for the central bank, as with US pastor being released, it will ease pressure on the Turkish lira.